both from Brazil, an itinerant living between Portugal and Brazil, who are going to present their work to us today. And what they're going to do is they've been here for a month. This is their last final week doing a project in New York City. And so the way that we're going to do it is, since it's a small group, we can ask questions as they go. So we don't have to sit and wait until the end. We can just interrupt and flow and that kind of stuff.
Feel free to.
Yeah, if you.
Do we want to close that door in the back at all? Yeah. Cool. So
yes, thank you all for coming and for the opportunity to share with you our work.
Thank you, Marlene, for hosting us.
Yes.
My pleasure. I'm glad you could come.
Yeah, to be hosted with someone that speaks so well Portuguese, I really feel at home.
Welcome. That's good.
So yes, let's start it.
Go on.
Yeah, maybe we can. We thought to starting to talk a bit about not exactly about ourselves, but about what we have in common and what is our let's say common question, because this is what we do together. We also have different works and and another projects, but in order to share this specific project, we are a bit talking about what makes us to meet in a way. I am an anthropologist, but a strange anthropologist, because I drifted from the strict academic field. The last 15 years I have been drifting slowly in a way that people cannot really notice this. Everything is fine. They are not desconfiando.
They're not suspicious about you.
Yeah.
But you're an anthropologist.
Yeah. I keep on thinking about this, but in a way, I am doing what I think that really is anthropology in another place. That is with people and because the way and the reason I did this drifting is much connected with what makes us to get together, because it was about the one dimension of ethnography that I believe that maybe it's all the ethnography, that is this performative dimension of the encounter in itself that has to be negotiated all the times. And in this encounter, everything happens, and it's not about making a diagnosis of nobody's life. It's much more about collective producing, a reciprocal invention, let's say. And this, even when people do this in the field, because maybe everybody has to do this, even if they don't admit this, or if they don't use this material. But the tendency is when people get home and this is lost. And then, but it's simple, and probably you all know this. So this dimension is where we, in a way, try to inhabit all the time, and that's where we meet. In a way, I found in this dance performance field a place where we can postpone the moment, where meaning will
be cast upon and run over.
Yeah. And in a way, Gustavo has a kind of the same trajectory, but in an inverse quantity way.
And also
because he also has he can speak for himself.
I also come from social science, anthropology. I was sort of major more in political science, and then I drifted into dance, and then from dance I went to theater and visual arts, and then finally to urban projects. And this is the same way that Fernanda got interested in the encounter. I was studying to become a diplomat, and many years ago. But that and because of that, I had this. I studied social sciences to understand cultures, and how the meeting was possible and what was the way of negotiating your presence, your culture, and the things you start to understand. And so
Yeah.
basically,
In a way, we both have realized that we have a way of doing. So let's say that when I made this drift, I started to work exactly where I was, and I in a way I didn't move. I only stay more. So I always I always did my research in urban field, so within the cities and how the cities work and how the different levels of operations and different layers of life they manage to live together or not, and how questions emerge as a consequence of they living together or they trying to avoid themselves or so on. So I basically I stayed there, but instead of going home to write about people, I started to work with them. So this shifting from about something to with something was the materiality that we started to work in. And in a way, every time we build a project, and we selected two works, one of myself and one of Gustavo, to share with you a bit, because these works kind of emerged out, as a consequence of this staying, and then mapping some operations, and these operations, they in a way are put it in a kind of proposition. This proposition, we are going to talk this a bit more later, but this proposition can be reprogrammed a lot of times in the same place or in different places. And each time we have to reprogram, we have, because we are moving to another city, or we have to resituate the work. We always stay for a long time in this place in order to get again the materialities of with we are going to work. And then we realized that we could stay more in this way of doing. That's how we arrived in the way we work now. That's doing a kind of city lab. Because this city lab, that is, every time we have a work to do, we have to arrive early, of course, and be there for a long while.
To adapt it.
Yeah, but this is invisible in a way. We do this, but what people get is the work. And then we decided that's what we are doing. We did this year before here in Saigon for 1 month too. Was just to autonomize the city lab in a way.
Yes.
But I don't know.
Yes, we've been collaborating since 2008. It was more based in first in workshops, and it happened to be in different cities. And from this common interest in understanding how things, it's a bit of a crime. You get to a place and see things that have been decided upon, but you don't know who did and for which reasons. And we actually don't go so much for the reasons or for the why, but try to see the how things are happening, how things are displayed. And this interests us a lot.
It's kind of a way of rematerialize things, because if we don't attach things to the meaning immediately, we can put them again into use, let's say.
Yes.
And that's the tactics, basically.
Yeah. And then in this sense, we talk about this performativeness, whatever, of the place in terms of there things that are being performed, and which we don't actually
Yeah, we-
know, but we sort of see or perceive that they're happening, and try
Yeah.
to perceive more and to see
Yeah.
more. Like there is a word
yeah,
that you
it's-
said this last week, that is a word in Portuguese, reparar.
Oh yes, this is basically a way to, in short terms, say the way I approach ethnography. That is all about reparar. It's I don't know if
Noticing?
yeah, but it's not just noticing. This is interesting. In Portuguese, the word reparar that means noticing. Also, if we notice, it has inside stop again.
Yes, like
Reparar.
stopping.
Stop again. So stop in that place that you have been already stopped by something that affects you, or by an accident, by something that you are not expecting. And normally when we are stopped by this kind of things, we immediately try to give a meaning to these things, or to find some why this is happening, or who did it, or something that put things in the place, because we cannot support this interruption. And the proposition of this approach is to staying there, so stop again in the place you have been stopped in order to notice. And then, if you notice, it's possible to negotiate the ways you are going to continue to be there. So then we approach a third dimension of reparar, that is repair, in the sense of, So then inside this reparar, we have everything that I believe that has to do with the performative and politics of ethnography. That is not really about saying what people is. It's much more about living together. But out of doing this, I'm sorry.
You were about to say something.
I just was wondering if there was an equivalent word in Spanish to preparar. No.
O sea, reparar en el término de
la
reparar,
reparación,
pero
no de reparar, de observar, no.
de darse cuenta.
Darse cuenta.
Que en español
Sí,
no
no,
creo.
no.
Pero sí, o sea,
Porque it's
Sí.
more than notice. Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's more than
Yes.
notice.
It's
It's
like-
interesting because in the Portuguese word we really can have these three meanings together.
No, it's fantastic. I
Yeah.
see it.
This comes from another research I did, but much of this research is here. Is that research that makes me take this time in Portugal? Where I run a project that is called End Lab. There I did a lot of concept tools, let's say, because this is not about just defining something. It's much more to putting a concept to work, because I really can do it. All in me is full of reparar when I realize these three dimensions.
It makes me think. I'm an anthropologist, by the way, and I'm really sort of loving kind of. I think it's really sophisticated what you're putting forth in terms of ethnography and things like that. But it makes me think of the word apprehend.
Yes.
Yes,
Which-
because it has
because it's not I mean you're dealing with the subject of observation, right? Which is
Yes.
historically what anthropologists go do, and you show up somewhere and you ask people what they call their cousins and charts and all of that stuff. But it's sort of this kind of methodological intervention, and it just
Yes.
seems that in the kind of in the struggling to translate reparar,
Yes.
the word apprehend.
Maybe
kind of
this can
react,
be
because there's
useful.
it's more than observing or noticing. There's a
It
kind
has
of
to,
grasping,
Yes.
Yes.
making,
Yes.
of making.
And also it's
or
more,
apprehending.
in Portuguese we also could do a kind of game with these
With the
words.
word.
Yeah, because we also
Aprehensión.
have aprender.
Aprender, to learn.
And I use it to say that the aim, if we have a name, is to apprehend, but without prender.
Right,
So
Without-
without,
Without holding.
right.
yeah. So it's yeah.
Interesting.
capture.
Yeah, but I really am kind of addicted with this kind of games with concepts, because I think that inside the words we already have everything. They are obvious, literally obvious. So they are obviated. They are obviated. They are taken out of vision because of we are so used to them that we are not really using what is already there. But yes, I completely agree. And also I think that reparar brings another dimension that helps us to not overestimate the vision, because everything is so much connected to the eye in anthropology, to sight. Yeah, everything is observation, and so on. And in order to notice, you cannot really just look from a safe distance. You have to be dirty.
Yeah, you have to experience.
Yeah, we have to go inside the thing to.
You know, when you enter a place and there's something that your presence produces that place, and you don't know what it is. There's something that you're carrying with you, or maybe you're coming from the wrong door, or maybe you arrive at the wrong moment, but you don't know, but you sort of feel it, you experience it. There is this, and so this sort of thing it's there that is this noticing goes on. It's not only seeing, but sort of understand that there is maybe an invisible choreography or set of patterns working there that you don't know, but you do feel it.
So when you say noticing like that, are you also talking about like noticing how your presence changes whatever is like when you walk in, like it's automatically changing? Because I think, I know very little about anthropology methodology, but I guess I'm thinking of the participant observer method of which you're speaking, and I'm thinking of our older anthropologists like Catherine Dunham and Eugenio who were very very they participated quite a bit as they were doing this in the dances and the rituals and all of these things, and so that it was more of a recognition of their role as kind of an interrupter in that space, and how whatever, it was never going to be like a true observation because they had already changed the dynamic.
It's of course in anthropology of this discussion about you cannot be objective. This is this is a theme that a subject that everybody have sometimes to deal with, but most of the times people then go to a kind of subjective narrative about the adventure of being there, of how they are. This proposition is more connected to this dimension that you said, that you cannot really notice from the outside. So this is a positional thing. So this also leads us to what a composition would be. Not really something that someone decided from a beginning to an end, but much more a position with. That's so. This is exactly the place where we are trying to research, and this is almost an invisible place. In a way, this is good, because this protects the material. But of course, then when we invite people to do this, we have to work in order to sustain this kind of invisibility in a way. So not to do so much, because the aim is to work with what is already there, and if possible to work with a question that emerged out of this conviviality and this co-positioning, and not with a question that I bring from home, let's say. So maybe we can talk about these two works a bit that we have, just to give a kind of concreteness to this. This is a game. This is a performance game. This is a invisible experience that proposes people to approach the city as a kind of fortune teller, or
it works.
Yes, and this this emerged out of this reparar approach. This is first designed for Rio de Janeiro, and deals specifically with an operation that is very strong in Rio, that everything is saying things all the time. The ads, people, everything.
Because it's not.
It's a very loud city. That
as we don't have really winter time, and so the city, you hear everything, and not only you hear everything, but all the radios.
People talk loud. We have everywhere you can read things, and everything is talking to you in a way. The ads are so aggressive that they are always talking to you, even if you are not really interested in what they are trying to sell you. They are they go there. So you feel that every time we are almost being by information. This is not something that's only happens in Rio, of course, but this emerged out of immersive noticing experience in Rio. And the proposition here is how to set some conditions to offer to someone else to have this kind of experience of using this materiality that is a kind of, it's almost a waste because it's so much and nobody can really deal with this. And sometimes Rio has this, is very strong, we can feel very strong this postmodern dimension that everybody is talking so loud that there is no one to hear. So everybody is just saying. Nobody really wants to pay attention to nothing because they are losing their time, a time that they can be doing their statements. So the proposition must basically is to people receive
a sort of kit.
Yeah, a sort of kit of going to a place that they don't decide, do some things in the way, and
but first of all,
by themselves or in a group?
No, by themselves. They are kind of. Yeah.
But there is one thing.
The first thing that is people are invited to ask a question to an oracle.
Like, should I get married in New York?
Yeah, a question that they really want to know. This is the first proposition. So this is how the thing work.
You're really good at doing impromptu oracles in the room. You might have to give a good example.
This is a small example of how things work here, let's say. We can do it all the time in a way. I have a question, and if I look around, the question is answered.
Like, should I live in
by
New
another
York?
ad?
Amazing things are happening here. Or should I change job? And then I say, Gustavo, of barista promise. So these are, it's a way of capturing to yourself the things that are.
So people receive this kind of instruction that at first they are invited to ask a question. And just that. The question is anonymous, and then people put all the questions together, and they pick one question again. They cannot, of course, have their own question, because it's important to walk with a borrowed question in a way, in order to really put yourself in another. Yeah.
And also, if I receive a question and I don't know who made this question, so I cannot use what I know from her in order to answer. I only have the city, so I have to start to be a sort of a detective. Okay, I must answer
that could like, answer this.
Like, what's gonna be my next school year, and then I sort of collect information to give this person an answer, although we never get to know who actually did the question.
This is an example of we made this game in Saigon this January, and this was my kit. So I could keep this. I received this very cryptical question: where is the monk? It was and I have this. I have to go to an offering shop at the market. I have to, and the way I had to read the ads, to approach someone who seems friendly, and to come again to the same place. And of course, this action, everything is set. So these things that are printed, they come from our previous ethnography around the gallery. In this case, around the gallery, around this departure point.
Around the neighborhood.
We have to map the neighborhood, of course, in order to choose places to go that could be interesting. Because they have interested people or different reasons, or they are important to the neighborhood, or something is happening there, and so on. And also the things to do, they are catch from what people already do there. In this place, it's not really pretend to be a chicken. It's not something bizarre. It's something that is already happening there. So it's much things to do that you can really do there. Just this. It's just to postpone the moment and to give time to people to collect clues and to notice, because all the game is to invite people to notice without directly inviting them. So this is an example, because so this led me to a very interesting place in this case, because I started trying to read the ads, but almost everything is in Vietnamese. I cannot understand. So by trying this, I finally found this first picture. We cannot really see from this. It was written in French, and so I could finally read something that I understood. Maybe I can only, I will just put this one, just people can, oh my God. Just this one, I think this is, maybe can help. Yeah. It was very interesting because this was the first answer. Yeah, because where is the monk? And in a way, what we should do aujourd'hui, hoje, today, to live better in the future, it's covered, you don't know. And this is to be a monk. To don't know what you have to do now, you don't know the consequence of what we are doing now, but you keep doing. And this is a monk attitude. And this car was stopped in front of this place. This very, how can I go? Yes, this place. This is a very strange place and unique place because it's at the same time a barber shop, a garage, a lot of different things. And because I was also tasked to talk to someone who seems friendly, and there is a guy stopped there that, I go, and I start to talk to him, and then they have this very wow thing because he cut man's hair, but also he has as a hobby, he was a Christian, what was not super common in Vietnam, and he has this hobby to do this bricolage on the wall, and I also noticed that I started to talk to him a bit because he talked only in Vietnamese, but I could notice he was Christian because he used a cross, and I noticed that he puts a cross in each figure in the collage.
So what you're saying is you was participating in the work.
Yeah.
If I went to your thing, this is what I would notice.
Yeah, this I keep because it was the way I did the oracle. But at the same time I was doing this, and I got this question, where is the monk? Someone is walking in another part of the city with my question, and with different actions going to a different place.
What you're saying is your experience of this.
Yes, just to have an example of
what captures your attention.
Yeah, I probably would never went to this place and never met this guy if I'm not doing this.
Yes.
I mean, if you're
it really has to do with how you perceive things, and how which things are, and how things orientation.
Right, so you're giving a proposition, but it depends how much the person wants to.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
This is the way I deal with.
Yeah, you got a lot because you're
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, different people have different.
Like there was a boy we did in the last time we did it not last, but last year we did in Portugal on a small island in Azore Islands, and then there was a boy, German boy, doing it, and his answer was quite simple. It has to do.
His answer
Yeah,
or the question?
The question I don't.
No,
I
the
don't-
answer, because it's the question
He's
is a question that you receive.
Right.
Yeah.
His answer at the
Yes,
end.
because we don't know who made the question. This is important.
That'd be really cool to do.
Yes, it
Yeah.
would be nice if you want to do. We can try it.
And I remember that he arrived in a square and it was full of sun, and then the answer was quite simple, but he said it
Yeah.
would be happiness, something like that.
Yes, for two reasons. He was thirsty, and someone that he
Yeah.
didn't know offers him water, so it was very friendly to him. And then, okay, everything will be okay. So it's not, of course, it's not really to reach any answer. It's much more to have an experience. So another person had at the same game, the same occasion in Saigon. While I'm doing this, I remember Orowan. She received a question that was also is super wow. That was who I am. And she had to go to a lot of beauty salons. She only had to go to one, but then she decided to go to a lot of beauty salons, different ones, and asked people to draw her. And then she brought different pictures drawn by different women of her. Oh, I am all these faces that people see me. How people see me is what I am. So this was her answer to this question.
Yes,
it's a completely different. So of course you don't have to. You decide if you are going to take pictures, talk to people, drawing. It doesn't really matter. People are completely free to decide the interface they are going to use to bring the answer. Let's say, but the proposition is going out with this question that is not yours and bring an answer. Outside, and then share this answer.
There was a participant, I remember Michelle, she finally got to the place, and then there was a beggar there, and then she asked him, and he gave her the answer. And then there is a further dimension is, once she explains this, the whole path to get the answer, there is the person who is listening to the answer to her or his question.
Okay.
And then there is also another interpretation and of the like Fernanda is doing now.
Yeah,
and then we see again through her these signs, these things that they might have.
Because this is the things that I collected, and then I give it back to the person that I not knowing who was. That made this question. We have to go. Yes. So this is just an example. We can talk to this about more. Let's go back to this place here, where we were. Yes. To talk to this other example that comes from Gustavo experience.
And so it's a walk we do. It's a project that we did together with Andreas Sandberger, which is an Austrian artist. It is this year. It's 10 years since we've done it, and the idea we were challenged by a festival in Portugal, Alcântara, to how to think of the black box in different terms, not as something that is neutral, but something that is full of social, economical, political dimensions. And then think about this challenge. We first tried to find a place where you could sort of have the theater again. And then as we had the practice, me and Andrea have always walking whenever we met. we thought about not choosing a place, but working on the different ways that we get to a place. And then we finally found that this final place would not be known. So people would not sort of pre-think or pre-experience the way there. So we finally got to this walk, which is a walk in silence, inside a big rubber band. And we choose a route, we make up a route, and in this route what we try to make people experiences is the structures that exist in any given city, but that you experience every day. But with the elastic, what happens is that and the silence, it sort of makes the perception more acute, stronger, at the same time that you're having a group experience. So you're not alone, but you are dealing with an elastic, which is sort of territory, and that needs your help in order not to get to the floor. And at the same time, you're negotiating the space and time with people that you have never met before.
These groups also take the shape of the way, because sometimes the group has to do this, sometimes the group has space.
Yes.
They can open the glasses.
And who goes in front, who goes in the back, and how at the same time how the people outside see this, because they see a group in elastic. And many people ask first, why? What's this? What's this about? As we are silent, we don't answer. So there is at the same time that the group is walking without knowing where they're going to, and they're always trying to think what is the thing behind the walk. Something is going to happen. Is this what we are supposed to see? At the same time they're doing this, the people outside, they are doing the same. They're trying to sort of read this group and through what they see. So imagine that we are all inside an elastic, and then we walk, and maybe people outside think maybe they're all from Latin America. But then think, but it doesn't look like so Latin America. And then think, but two people have glasses, or they look intelligent. So what kind of thing that people might apprehend from us because of this?
This is emphasized because of the elastic, because if we all together, everything that is done here is already being done by a group. It's not really nothing more than, but by putting this, everything,
it's an element that's very relational, that puts the people inside in relation.
Gives visibility to something that is already happening in a way.
Yes.
So this is good examples because they are in different directions. One goes through making people more visible. This sculpture that moves together. Sculpture community moving together. The other is completely invisible because nobody knows. People are doing are engaged in a task of finding an answer to a question. It's just more. If we take a picture from the outside of this person walking, he or she is not performing nothing special.
Just walking.
But they are having an experience being performed without nobody noticing this.
Yes, and we do some actions. We cross, we walk, but also we stop. And where do we stop? We stop in places where there is a structure happening. Like we stop in front of a street where the cars are coming in our direction, but the cars are going away. And so, like a door. I love this example. It's a door. So it's for us to go out or to come in. It's the basic. You don't use it to have lunch or sometimes you use it to talk. We don't use it for much other things than going in and going out. But the moment that I open the door, maybe someone will leave, or maybe someone will come in, because it's the function of the door. So the moment when this person comes, because we have our attention drawn to this structure, it will perform as much as a door can perform. Thank you.
that was a performance.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you, Fabio.
Yeah.
Yeah, come in.
Sorry.
See, that was.
Yeah, this works.
That worked. I mean,
And so we work with this, with the structures that are there, like the exit of a subway. People are always exiting out, people are always going in. Where we stop, or when we go through, this is a parking lot. And then normally for cars, but people also go there. But else to go, not going there because you have a car, what kind of feeling does that give you? And so it's like feeling the architecture, but at the same time the negotiate architecture, because it's not only the buildings, but how people inhabit these places. It's funny, if you get architecture books, you have all the maquettes and you have the figures, the human figures, or the drawings. But once the building is done, the photos tend to be with less people, because then when they start to use it, sort of they take a bit away the initial idea of the building. So maybe oh no, it's not so good, because then they start doing things, playing games, and then you have, okay, don't play ball games here, don't do this, don't do that. You sort of have to find lots of senses to restrain the people just changing the ideal plan. And this project has to do with this ideal plan of the city and the experience, the lived experience of the city, of how you go through, and it's different to live in Brasilia, which is a planned city, than living in Rio de Janeiro, or live in New York City, or live in Washington. It's the architecture produces you a certain kind of sensibility,
consequences and sensibility,
and knowledge.
Yes.
Yes, we can go on.
So these two works was to give you a more concrete dimension of what we are talking about, because sometimes it's so almost nothing material, because and this is really the
invisible something.
Yeah, that sometimes when we talk can become super abstract, but it's not, it's super concrete. So what we decided to do is to stay in that part of the work that sometimes comes before the silent walking with the elastic, or before proposing people another experience of the oracle. We have to stay in the place and map the thing, and so on, and then
so it's a sort of how to, and with the workshops we're really interested in, how to this part of the work, which is the adaptation, how can we share, but also share as a possibility of other works to happen.
Yes,
and highlighting the process.
And also share this as a tool, not already used or in use in one direction, because we use in some direction that is connected to our sensibility, but different people can use this as a tool to other things, to do other things.
That reminds me, Nando Messias, he is a Brazilian performer living in the UK, and he did a workshop in our city lab in Lisbon. And he's he's a man, but he looks, it's difficult to see if he's a man or a woman. A very particular person, very discreet person. And his proposition was to walk with him in a square in Lisbon. He would walk with each person at a different moment, and had a route. It was interesting to see how people try look at us, each couple that formed with him, and how his condition, his identity, provoked a reset of identity for the other person. So,
And
are
it
they
was
lovers? Are they
quite
friends?
simple, the proposition.
What they are doing, and they're walking side by
Yes.
not side by side, but
Yeah, just by walking
together.
together, everything changes. So, whole performance.
I see, so you invite different artists to make a proposition.
Yes,
for
these city labs can take different formats. Sometimes they take the format of the workshop, because normally or the residence or the workshop formats is the rational. They have the temporality that we need to a city lab. If it's a presentation situation, normally people don't give us so much time. So then it's easier to have space to do this, to have time space to do this. If we do it under the frame of a workshop or a residence. And also for us it's very important to share this with people, so it's very interesting when we have a local artists in different cities, or don't must to be artists, local people that are interested in this and want to come, because then we also have them and what they can bring with them.
Is that
in
also a
terms
way of getting to know more the city?
Yeah.
For the people that eat,
Because
live and work
they also
there.
have their own affective maps to share with us of the city. So then this workshop frame is useful in different ways because of the temporality that can be longer, and also because this invite local people who can share with us. But of course, it's not really to teach to someone nothing specifically. It's more to share these tools and to relearn them together because we have to relearn them all the time. We cannot take them for granted that we can notice or we can reparar. Reparar is something that we need to learn every time again and again. So all what we do is to set an area that's a kind of temporary zone of attention and pay attention to this. And it's simple, but it's not.
Yeah.
Because it's super common that other things that we already know or we think we already know, they overcome this simplicity of just paying attention.
So it's kind of like John Cage's Silence, except with the pianos of the city. Like you just stop.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Yes, in a way, yes.
Yes.
We.
Like here, it's 3, 0.
It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
it's very small things. Let's say this are examples of our notes in here in New York. So yeah, it's kind of coincidence. So simultaneous incidents, literally. They are super small, but they perform something immediately. This is not so visible, but
It's anonymous.
and then a man sleeping.
And there was a beggar that used the chair to sleep. And that tells us a lot about here in New York, where there's this homeless population, which is very big, and sometimes they are sort of invisible.
It says anonymous?
Yes.
It's the name of the bar.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And then
This is a kind of ready-made. You have just to pay attention. You don't really need to create nothing.
So you're basically setting up a structure where participants, or whatever you want to call them, you're giving them structure to frame the city.
Yeah, we invite them to notice, and we use basically 2 tactics that has to do with walking and remaining, and the variations we can do with those 2.
It's very Al Capro too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it has one dimension, which is when you stop, you sort of describe everything you see.
Oh, you ask the person.
Yes,
this
because
part,
because
So it's not totally free. It shows that first it depends on the format. Sometimes It's also, sometimes it's more educational in some parts, like in terms of we talk about flânerie, dérive, and then not to get to the
so
final act, which is the one that interests us more, which is how when you remain in a place, you see, you notice.
Yeah,
And
but not by jumping to this thing. Okay, what's happening here is blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But by this kind of scanning thing.
Giving the person
Yeah,
scaffold.
because
Yes.
if I stop in a place like this, or this, let's say, is that I have to take some time to realize what is being because here, for example, this is super common here, but this is specifically.
Yeah, the framing.
Yeah, no, it's not about it.
Yeah, the
The-
framing.
framing.
Yeah.
It was put in a way that say a different thing.
Stopping time.
Yeah.
When just non-stopping at any time.
But this specific one, we don't know why, was put it in
It was put in a way that only see
covers
stopping-
a part.
Stopping time.
And then I can use this, especially because, and this has a strength, specifically strength that nobody puts there with any intention specifically. So I cannot really, if I use this after, I can, okay, I noticed this and then I decided to, okay. So I'm going to stop here, and a lot of people start to stop here, and this can become a proposition to this place, and will be the strength of this will come as a consequence that it was not me that put this there, so I'm just
You're just taking advantage of something that's there.
that is already there.
And answer a bit more that you were asking in terms of we open a field of work with certain coordinates, which are has to do with walking, displacing yourself, and then choosing a place. Either because this place made you stop, or either because you finally want to stop there. And then to make a total description, describe as much as you can, in a way that through description, a certain
arrive to
circumscription
us.
might be produced.
Yes.
And then this times you have a material that is not what you want to see, but maybe from describing it's gonna rise the specificity of that place.
Yeah, it's basically.
And we did the question that you may, and the operations, the house.
Exactly, and how they cooperate, so they operate together in some place, and this makes the place in a way.
Like we took a IKEA boat.
That was supposed to be.
For people to go and buy things,
yeah.
but we use it as a cruise thing. And there is this yellow color, which is a water tax. It sort of underlines the city as you approach it, and so it's an effect because of it's yellow. It was black, maybe it would be different.
Yeah,
was
but it's
maybe
like
different, but then
what we
it's
do
this
with
yellow.
texts.
And then it's a perfect place for.
Yeah,
And
highlighting.
when we were there was a group of a very traditional Jewish family, and they all here looking to the view. On the way back, actually, we took when they were going to IKEA, and then we come back, and then because they were especially dressed, something that belongs to their religion. They were sort of, it looked like a Jewish boat. Like, it really gave this impression of the immigrants arriving in New York. And then suddenly, maybe I can use this boat, and start, if I want to work with performers, every time there is a different group, ethnic group, religious group that position himself in this border. And then suddenly you have this IKEA boat serving as the Mayflower of us. But it's there. It's a boat that
occupies
connects.
IKEA boat.
And it's a place where you can bend.
Isn't Hasidim kind originally from Brooklyn?
I don't know.
No, like those, I mean, if you're thinking, I'm just wondering what particular dress, some of those are native. They're not, I mean, sort of religion.
Oh, like you mean now?
Right.
Yes, but I think that we have the familiar images of, you know, like things that we know from before, you know, like that we've seen in the
Statue of
movies
Liberty
and,
in the
you know.
19th century.
Yeah, because it's still dressed.
Like wrapped with their
Yeah.
hat and-
The Titanic when they're cut.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
I just imagine just particular forms of very traditional sort of Jewish dress that you might see in New York now.
Mhm.
And some of those, not to say that the immigrations have been, but some of those are native to New
Yes.
York, Brooklyn. So.
Oh, they're produced
Yes.
here. They
Yeah.
dress
Yeah.
more like this.
Oh, we produced it here.
No,
Yeah.
because some of
it's super
them,
interesting.
these,
But
because
they
these
are reenacting.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Interesting. This is how it's important to be with people who live and work in the city,
Right.
because then we have such
That's right.
assumptions that it produced me this sensation,
Right.
but
You
maybe
saw
for
migrants, right,
Yeah.
in some way.
Yes.
Yes.
and you didn't, and so maybe if I'm going to perform this for here, then I would think, so what would produce in you and people who live here the same impression?
Right.
Yeah, and maybe
And then
Could be
it's this
another
adaptation
group.
that
yeah.
it's not for me to see,
It's on the
but
head
for
cover.
whom is it to see?
Yes.
Yeah.
So basically, is this we use these two tactics: walking, simple, everybody walks, and remaining and inhabited. But when you stay or when you stop again, of course, it's super easy to be to fall into the trap of giving meaning or interpreting or jumping directly to closing things. So it's not just about stopping or remaining. It's much about what you activate when you stop, and this descriptive task is important in this way. What is happening, and how it's happening, and so on. So postponing the moment, or if possible, displacing completely the attention from the why to the how. This is super simple, but gives a lot of material immediately.
So I guess my question is, I mean, this is kind of fascinating, sort of as methodologies. My question, and some of it reminds me. Remember when we took that walking tour, and there's colleagues in dance and kind of ways. Elastic City. There's I'm somewhat familiar with other things. I mean, it reminds me of some other things. The connection to anthropology and ethnography in particular, I think, makes it somehow different, or than the other things. And so I guess my question is, so how do you? It seems that these are all sort of methodologies for the collection and the collective kind of creation of the stuff of which knowing is made. Right, and that you kind of do that in groups, and you invite people to participate, and is there a phase that follows that? I mean, I guess it could be this, right? To the degree that you yourselves kind of take this material, this data, if you will, and sort of turn it into some kind of representational form.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Maybe we can go to
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, there is something called
No, because
maybe,
it's maybe we could talk about this New York
yes,
teams.
yeah. Let me see. Yeah, we must do this. We have different things. Yes, take this format, this final thing.
Okay. Yeah.
So just to be, then we jump to the New York thing. Just to it. So the oracle or the walking that we show you is outcomes of this kind of work on how things works, and then you arrive to a proposition that is just something that what is going to be done, how, when, where, and who is the person that is going to do this, and who is receive this, or they are the same or not. So, and this can happen in different interfaces or formats. You don't preset the thing. It's going to be a photograph, or it's going to be video, or it's going to be an installation, or it's going to be a performance. You don't know.
Yeah,
Before starting, we don't know. So let's say with the oracle, this ends up with a invisible performance is to be done to one by one person. So the user of the performance or the audience, there is no audience because the audience is the user and also is the people that do this. In the walking, no, there's two people that take others to walk. So the people who execute this are not exactly the same that receive this, but at the same time, some moments they coincide or not, and so on.
There's although these things we're talking, they are sort of reference to us, but they're not a recipe. In terms that we follow exactly those steps.
Not exactly.
They are things we consider when we are in a place, like the walk, like the oracle and the oracle and the walk here as we walk. They will produce totally different terms. When I did it with Andrea, we were collecting things, and then we were very interested in how Elliot Sica's work made people interact with the space. At the same time, we're interested in architecture and the slums.
And
so it was a different group of references that made us produce the work. And every time it's a different. And now with New York, we start a new part of the project. We're merging into each other's practices, each other common interests into one work, which is going to be then
these steaming cities that we are starting here.
The steaming cities where.
Yeah, because this kind of this comes a lot from another research I did that is connected to that lab I said, but we use this together, but also we use different other elements that comes from our interest in how we can transpose. So this is a super interesting
case study.
Probably all you know this, the work of Elliot Sica. But this is interesting because, of course, it's not the same. But it's he had a strong experience living in Mangueira. That is a Brazilian.
It's a slum. Favela in Brazil.
Yeah, and he did not reproduce or represent this experience. But
it's interesting that he started to live in the slums, and he was a very abstract artist. He worked.
Yeah, we have this.
Like he did things very like he was interested in color and really the materiality of painting. And then from the wall, he went to produce things that he could penetrate, and so they were penetrables. And then from these, he got to installations and to creation of empty spaces.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And all of this has much to do with this structure here, but is not a representation of this.
Yes. It's not representing, but he sort of is producing. He's creating
the condition, recreating the conditions for.
So, like here with Tropicalia, it's his famous
to happen.
Installation project.
Yeah, as a place or environment, or as something that you can wear. This environment you can wear the parabola.
It's interesting. Maybe just
we can show a bit this
video. There's a architect called Paola Benstein. She made a connection between the work of Elliot Sica and the structure of this the slums, of the favelas, and the reorigin of the samba.
Yeah, because this is connected to Parangolé, that things that Elliot did that
those sort of
tissues that you can wear.
Outfit. This sort of movable architecture.
Propose or invite people
to see. So in the slums, it's a city that gets built according to the materials people have at hand, and so we have more open streets, sometimes very narrow,
This
very
emergent
regular
architecture
floor.
is really embodied, and the installations or the parangolas, they invite people
To wear the architecture.
Yeah, to wear the architecture, exactly.
So the thing you're doing in New York is you're showing this because it's similar?
Yes, it's the same. It's the same structure. So if we can.
In this case here, you see, it's very regular, and so I don't know if you have seen samba. It has to do with changing
Your waist.
waist. So when people walk,
They have to do this.
I never noticed it till I heard the samba being played and you said something and I was like, oh, the walk of going up is that shift.
Yeah, this shift here.
Yes. And so, because it's different from the dimension of the modern city, which has you sort of you flatten.
Yeah, like
the
here you
ground.
can use rollerblades or skates
But
a lot
here
because
has
all
the-
this a lot of streets are super.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
maybe you have skaters and
Yeah.
roller
This is a
skaters
consequence
coming from,
of
from
what
US or from New York. It's impossible to use a skater.
what the
there.
city has as. This is also a possibility to approach how we construct the proposition. It's connected. What this has
You have
in
to
terms
do
of properties that are also possibilities, because this kind of streets they have some material and concrete elements, the irregular surfaces, the opens and closes, that invites something to happen.
Maybe at the end of the video that
Yes.
Isn't that almost though like an environmental determinism? I mean, that has an old history in anthropology that people move like the hills they have to climb. You know, I mean, that's an old idea in anthropology.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
That if
But
your
it's-
dance comes from the fact that you walk down to the river to beat the clothes, you know,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it seems to.
But it's less in terms of trying to give a reason, and more to understand how it affects the body. If you take like a root
Yeah,
of
it's not
Laban,
really determined. Yeah.
but it's sort of it does produce. If you only have flat, like classical ballet comes from there. It's you have the flat surface, so you don't have the obstacle.
Right.
You don't
When-
stumble upon something.
Yeah, it's super.
Would hinder you from advancing, and then you have a different relation to time and.
How can I do this?
And it's how architecture wants to is used to sort of teach how people to live in the city. So airports have long corridors, you don't see so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. Let's say now we are in Rio. We are, yeah.
Maybe we can move to New York.
Yes, just to.
Because this is. And then
Yeah, this
after
is just an
you-
example, but yes, now it's very interesting because Rio is passing through a lot of transformations, and one of them is that because of a lot of
Gentrification.
political things that we can talk a whole hour about this, different bodies that are not used to these places are going there. And you
Either
can,
for tourists.
yeah,
or
tourists that
reasons,
use the slums
or-
sometimes almost as
or
a zoo.
gentrification of the slums to
Yeah, and you can see this happening in their bodies. They start to walk super. Oh, they are going to fall, and then second day, third day, they are this is not really determinism. It's more dwelling. I don't know how to say this.
Inhabiting.
Yeah, this is more how yes, they are connecting and embodying this. Of course, can be reduced to this kind of analysis, but it's not about this. It's more using the performativity in itself.
And also being an artist, I'm not so interested in sort of. I am interested in seeing things, understanding, and making associations. But I'm also interested in recreating, transcreating something from a artistic perspective. So in terms of, I see this happening, and how that is happening can be used in artistic way in another thing. And so I'm not trying to so interested in truth, in creation or proving, but rather than using it as
rematerializing. Let's say.
Yes.
Yeah. This with this, because in this situation here, we have a great opportunity to explore a new project together in this month, and this question you are putting also is there, I think, because we are proposing ourselves to collect the steams of a city, and this can also be understood in a very deterministic way, if you want, as a kind of something to do with authenticity or the essence of something. And of course, it's not about this. We can also understand this essence as something that, like a perfume, desprende, size.
That exhales.
Yeah. So it's different. We can talk about essence in an essentialistic way, or and that would be deterministic too, or we can talk about essence, something that is a consequence, not a cause of something, but a consequence, something that like the animals, they
shed.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you come to New York, for example, if I'm understanding this thing about essence, you try to kind of live the city, inhabit the city with prompts, whatever, in order to capture your own subjective, unique kind of experience of what the essence of New York is?
No.
It's not exactly subjective, but they are not also objective.
There's intentionality.
Like for instance.
But are you trying to find the essence of New York? Is my question.
Yes, it's more like
the essence, let's say, the perfumes, not the essence in terms of authenticities, of course.
But that's what you're saying, okay.
Because in Portuguese, I don't know, it must be the same in English. A perfume, there is a essência.
Yes.
But it's not what is making essential. It's more like a metaphor to say this city does produce its inhabitants, and its inhabitants do produce New York. It's dialogue, intense dialogue.
It's a co-proof.
And so what we want is, how could we transport the experience to live in New York to another place, to someone else who has never been to New York, or someone that is miles away.
And as an experience, not as an explanation,
like a photo,
or
a postcard or a video. And so this is New York, and sort of narrate it or make people.
Yeah, or a representation of.
But how make people? And then we thought there's 4 elements that, from many others.
Yeah, this
that we sort of
maybe
collected.
We can put apart, but we can go directly to the elements that we are.
So like here it's very vertical. It's the most if it's not the most vertical city in the world, it is the city that produced the world, the city as being vertical. The first skyscrapers were produced here. And what it produces? It produces different things. It produces first a difference between my dimension and the dimension of a big
scale.
Yeah,
so there is
the
a
human
scale
and this
but it also produces what we call this cropping verticality. It produces the way we see the sky, and at the same time in a structure, and we're talking about mainly about Manhattan, it's a grid structure that can get very labyrinthical if you don't know it.
And
right
also
away.
offer this
Let's say, you go
sky.
west and east and
What?
the numbers.
Yes. No.
Okay.
This is just one.
This one, okay.
This is one of them.
Great.
We can also do this kind of things that we are starting to do in order to.
Is that cropping vertical? No, that's not.
Yes, it's the same. It's the same.
Same, okay.
It's the same. But just a proposition of approaching this with a different materiality that comes also from here.
Yes. How can
Because this also happens in the supermarket.
Yes, and here it's interesting that the supermarket, like in Brazil and Portugal and other places, you don't have this
This
verticality and this
pop-ups
crossing
architectures in the in the supermarkets.
use, and so it's a structure we find in the supermarket here, but sort of we don't know yet, but it sort of can give us a clue to where we can move
Or how
on.
we can use this,
So
or
maybe
to produce.
if we have a grid structure and we have verticality, we can make it people experience the operations that go on in New York without
I see
the
that.
Liberty Statue or the Empire State, but
What are
the
the other?
operation.
What are the other three?
Yes, here the second one.
Later? Okay.
It has to do with this super everywhere landscapes of litter, and then we realize
You're
that
not the
sometimes
first
they
to-
are
Yeah.
they are kind of literally they are garbage skylines. We can
Right.
remake the skylines with garbage because they are really.
We did it with snow.
The other two, we don't have operations yet for them, but here we do have a literal steam that is everywhere.
Do you know why this?
This happens?
I think it's no, I don't. But it's
Yeah, we researched it.
Yeah, most part of the people we've asked, they don't know.
Well, there's all kinds of systems for water and power and cooling that run underground. And
Yes,
they
it's
emit
connected.
steam and
Yes,
Yeah.
there is
it's the
a
intestines
exactly. It's,
that are not visible, right? No.
but they became
How can it
visible
be
about of this.
accessed?
It's super interesting because we are not expecting, of course, to have a literal steam.
Right.
And then they are there everywhere. When we started we are going to do steam in cities, and then
Right.
the steam
It's really steamy.
really
Water is steamy.
the city is really steamy. but then doing first we asked it to people, different
You should
people,
be here in the month of August.
and they don't know exactly. They guess something connected to what you said, and then we do a bit small research
Yeah.
in Google that knows what we don't know, and then we come to know that New York is atmosphere, the indoors atmosphere is regulated by water system.
The
Heating.
heating.
Yes,
that's
but not
why
the
it's-
heating, also the
In
cooling.
old buildings, yeah.
So
Yeah.
all year, this is regulated, and this is super old and super cheap compared to the way Europe gets heat.
And something that from the 19th century.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's really old.
Caldeiras. I don't know how
Yes.
you call them in Portuguese. ¿Cómo se dice caldeiras?
Caldeiras.
Yeah.
Caldeiras.
The boilers in the
Oh, the
basements of
boilers.
all of our apartments.
Yes, and
No
this
boiler, mijo.
is the same company since this.
Thomas
and
Edison?
no,
No.
but it's the same guy that makes the lamp.
It's an
I
oil.
read.
It's oil driven, so it's
Yeah.
another wealthy family.
Oh,
And
okay.
Thomas Edison, somebody in oil.
this is water.
Yeah.
And what is interesting is that was not necessary, of course, in the beginning, but because the system is super old, it has fissures and things, and if they don't put this from time to time, of course,
It explodes.
the steam will be inside and will explode, and so it's interesting because this materializes the modern spheres, the illusion that we can control the atmosphere, and that what makes we don't have outside of this system, and that the system is now being is getting some fissures that is making this visible in the outside. Everything is literally happening here. This is Latterdijk theory. So this we don't have yet, nothing to do exactly with this, but it's interesting that we have.
Give us idea that
we
this
maybe
idea of maybe the next image of the.
Yes,
It's
this
very,
is the other thing.
It's very common, this first one, that in whenever
this
you have
first one especially.
working like building
Everywhere.
you have these windows, so you can have access of what is happening behind.
And also they explain what is happening here. Oh, it's here, this and this and this.
This is something that we haven't seen other places.
Yeah.
And it seems that there is this necessity of seeing what is behind. And then you have visibility, but at the same time you have...
But the regulated visibility.
The wall, regulated visibility.
But that also functions like a steam valve, I think, in my experience, because if they didn't have the window, you could maybe invite the knocking down of the wall. But if you know what's behind it, it lets the pressure off of the experience of the wall.
This is interesting what you are saying.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You see, already when you say this, you give us an operation
a clue to how to go on.
It's like a pressure valve. It's like the dance hall.
Yes.
You know, controlled activity of that which you seek to prohibit.
Yeah, we feel that maybe
so
these two things could be connected in some way, because it's interesting because this controlled visibility is so very similar to the statements that everywhere people are doing here with clothes, with their specific religion clothes or ethnical clothes or something or other things, like if they put this in themselves, but this is not really something that you can go in if you are not the same, but you get to know, let's say, but it's controlled also, so it's something that people decide to say.
The verticality is also about controlled visibility because the people who have the most money live at the top and can see everything, and the people with the least money live in the basement apartment and they can't see anything, and they don't have natural light. Natural light is like the huge commodity. And I remember we were at
the opposite of the favelas that are all
Right.
at the top and they see everything.
Yes.
So when we were at the party at the Standard,
Yes, oh my God.
I realized that people had swimming pools on top of roofs,
Yes, I
and
remember
we did. I was like, oh my God, I
would
feel like
never
I
know
can
that.
do anything. I feel like I have so much power because I can see everything. So it's like the verticality can connect to seeing.
It's interesting, the structures of the city. It's a common way of experiencing cities through a map. So what a map does, sort of it make you pre-experience the city. You know that there's going to be a corner there, and with Google Map you can even know exactly more things, and you can even have this three-dimensional thing. But it's sort of it's a way of experiencing the city. It has to do with I think there's going to be like this, and then once you're there, you stumble upon the city, and that it makes a totally different.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But it has to do with this aerial view, which like in French there is an interesting word which is the sight of a bird, like the bird see. So if,
Bird's eye view.
bird's eye view. And with the skyscrapers, it's just being like a bird that you sort of pre-see the city that you're going to live in. And so it's this relation of how you experience the city and how the city gets built on and on and on.
Right.
It's a fascinating. One last thing, because I think we are totally on to end.
This one? Or
No,
what?
it's still a connection. These are elements that we collected, and there are many more others. And now what we're gonna do is we try to see which of them can give the body to our work.
Yes.
We don't know yet if it's gonna be installation, if it's gonna be a performance. It's still we're sort of like a blind man trying to see what it is, to have an idea of what to do with it. And this idea of, although these things are not new things for anyone who lives in New York, and that's why we're interested in this. We're not trying to find the gold, but to find the gold that everybody finds, because then the material you're gonna work with, it's gonna be not only more accessible, but maybe it's gonna be closer to the experience that people have if they come from New York and experience this work. But for the people who don't live here, they might have an interesting access, which is beyond this touristical approach that cities get more and more.
Yeah, it's not.
Which is produce the gentrification and sort of so many other phenomena that we're not so happy with in Brazil, in Rio, and in Lisbon. And for sure, probably not happy with that. So, but it's not hijacking the city in tourist way, but in other dimensions.
Invite people to look inside these windows without
even if when you see it, but it doesn't look like New York, but maybe it feels like New York.
Yes.
Just in response, I am a performing artist, and I also have a background, my academic background is in sociology, and I feel that all of this, whether it's performative or not, is interrelated to awareness.
Yes.
So it's whether one is recreating it for someone who doesn't live here or does live here. My hope for people is that awareness is increased.
Yes.
It's really important for humanity and the planet.
Because awareness is being aware of where you are. It's a strong.
It's everything.
Reminds me the Turkish manifestations, and it was a performer that he just stopped. And then many other people just stopped. And there's this standing figure that stops. And how powerful it is when you stop, and when you stop, you don't freeze, but you stop and still are there.
Yeah.
Standing.
Just standing. But in order to just stand, sometimes we have to to find tactics to postpone the understandings.
Yes.
Because we give too much value sometimes to this under. Then we transform everything in representation. Every standing in representation. Because every time we are supposing that there is sometimes under or behind. That's more important than what's just happening.
Yes. Okay, I think if there's any other commentary or
maybe we have
just that I find an obvious correlation between the temporality of like delaying the interpretation, delaying the why, and like meditation, because the typical meditation is like stop, but don't freeze and watch your thoughts. And then later maybe you're like, oh, I see, maybe this way that I was thinking about that, maybe I could choose a different way. But it's the similar, like, whatever you have to do to trick yourself into not continuing on to the nearest, the quickest, easiest option that you'll always choose. So it's like, it's interesting that practice can be used in different ways, and maybe it's not meditation, maybe it's just that like treading water to see what else, like minding the gap.
Yes.
And the gift is one can be aware without being in a formative, meditative stance. I mean, if one is aware,
Or
you can live and function and perform and breathe and eat and produce and procreate being aware. So I mean, I don't think it's a finite experience. It's actually a fluid one. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's ongoing. It's
Yeah.
ongoing. You do it every
And from the
ti-
inside, because we
all the time.
don't
We
have
enter
really
elevator,
outside.
You get aware of the others and where you are.
Yeah.
So, quick question, maybe you answered it and I missed it, but the performance of the rubber band joining everybody and the performance of the oracle, were those both created using a sort of city lab methodology in advance or no?
No.
Not
So these were
not
not-
really. It's a vanilla letter, let's say, because we
Okay.
don't. We only.
You only did that afterwards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Afterwards, okay, we realized that we do something that is similar, and we
Right.
could pay attention to this and transform this into something
So
that then
so
become
the
a
City
city lab.
Labs methodology in terms of output, to go back to what Marcial was asking, you know, what would the final product, so to speak, of that be? You haven't yet done one
Yeah,
that.
this is going to be
so
the
this is
first
the
time.
First time.
Yes,
I see.
because
So
because before we did all these city labs as a
Yeah.
way to understand more and to share
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and ideas and discuss things and produce more. Sort of we were getting trained together.
uh-huh.
At the same time, we were sharing with other people that were also making propositions. But we're now it's a different step.
Okay.
We're making a step to make a work together in terms of
using
of,
these tools.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
yeah, and what
So this-
motivated us in the beginning is that because we already used the tools, but without
We didn't
naming
name
them.
it something.
Yes.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah.
But these names, I like to repeat again. These are names that help us to deal with, but it's not like a recipe. It's not that I always take these same steps.
Right.
But these are things that we take into consideration
Right.
and use to discuss. Like
Yes.
Fernanda has a different background that I have, and this is the stuff that we use to.
I see.
At least now that we have a concrete work
Yes.
together.
And some
Right.
new elements probably we will emerge some other tools
And are
because
you
a
coming
lot.
back to New York? I'm just trying to
Yes.
figure out the
So-
procedure. So you do City Labs, you do New York, you observe these things, you get the steam, and then you go back. or
Probably
you come
this
back
steam
here, or
will be delivered to a different place.
So in a different place. Okay.
Yeah, so we're planning to next stop. We're gonna Lisbon and São Paulo
Okay.
as place we want to do it
Got it.
because this is really the first step.
Right. Okay.
But I'm coming back to New York, but not with Fernanda this time,
Okay.
but to do the walk
Okay.
in the
With
crossing the line, the
okay.
festival. You're
Oh, good. Yeah. To do the one with the rubber band.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. Well, we can keep talking, but we can.
Yes.
But thank you so much.
Thank
for,
you,
for
too.
Thank you,
coming and
Marlene,
for
and
having
thank
this
you all
discussion.
Thank you for
and now it's
hosting
a
us.
bit of